Lucky Lefty podcast. What's good? We had the day off yesterday. Left left was traveling cross country,
Got another one.
and
Got another good, exciting game.
and we're ready to move on. Left, but before we do, we got some loose ends to tie up. 'Cause there were some things I heard post game, and some things I heard yesterday. I don't think we
The
can just
math ain't
let it
mathing.
slide.
The math ain't mathing.
I don't think we can just let it slide. I don't think so. And then we got some
Not
leftovers.
before we move on, right? We can't let it slide before we move on.
But as always, we're brought to you by Nora Whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure you do so.
Responsibly.
And CFB Nation, presented by Twisted Tea. Yeah.
Twist. Yeah. You on the right. You on the right vocals today.
Ah!
You on the right
Audio
vocals.
edibles every day. Apple Podcast, Spotify, home of the misguided passion. The Lucky Lefty podcast. We spin it different. Left, we got some leftovers. And I purposely let Notre Dame fans know at the beginning of our post-game show that if they were going to be sensitive, that they shouldn't watch
This is
that
the show
show.
for you.
It wasn't a show for them, right? Because all of that, the season's not over. Da, 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 da. Man, look, stop. Stop reaching for low hanging fruit. Nobody on our show said the season was over. Listen, actually listen, because we bring up great points, in my opinion, Left.
That's right.
The Ohio State game was the biggest game on the schedule when it comes to the pendulum swinging as far as recruiting, narrative, and elevation of the program. Clemson and USC don't come close
At all.
at all. I watched in totality Arizona State USC last night. Notre Dame's gonna put up 45 points on USC, dude. What are we talking about? Yeah, we know Caleb is great. It's gonna be a shootout. But USC is nowhere near the team that Ohio State is.
No.
What are we talking about? Clemson is nowhere near the team that Ohio State is.
And the problem is that you got to take a step back and think of who we're talking about. Beating a Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State is like playing a championship game just based on the track record and what it means on the college football landscape. Ohio State losing this early to a non-Big Ten team and non-Michigan team, to a team that most would consider not great in big games, is a huge perspective change on what Notre Dame means to college football, especially at this time. This is a win that can culminate all of what Marcus Freeman's efforts have been in this past 2 years of getting Notre Dame on track, especially replacing an era in which we've had a coach that did a lot of things similar but never got over the hump. And it was a huge part in creating the narrative of not getting over the hump. So that's 10 years you're trying to erase in two, and you could have got a huge step forward towards that. Instead, we end up stepping 2 steps back, in my opinion, just because if we can't get them now when we're the better team, when are you ever going to get them?
Left, on top of all of that, it is I see you guys are saying I'm not here to Ohio State will beat the crap out of USC. Their defense is good enough to slow USC down. and USC's offense, bro. I saw Arizona State line up and just gash USC with Drew Pine at quarterback. And if Drew Pine wasn't the quarterback, Arizona State is in that game. That's how bad the USC defense is. And that's with Bear at defensive tackle. Let's be realistic. I will say it again, man. Is this what Notre Dame fans need? We have beaten highly ranked USC teams before. What does this do for us historically? We've done this before. Brian Kelly did this. We did that. The one thing we had not done was either beat Georgia, Alabama, or Ohio State. We've beaten Clemson. We've done that. So why are we sitting here trying to make Clemson and USC equal to the opportunity that faced us on Saturday night? It's not. It doesn't resonate with recruits the same way. It just doesn't. Ryan Roberts did a great job in an article I want to say about 2 weeks ago on IB when he said in order to ascend and become the recruiting giant that Notre Dame wants to be, they have to become the best regional program on the field. They have to. And right now, they're behind Michigan and USC, Michigan and Ohio State on the field. That is what prohibits Notre Dame from taking the next step from a recruiting standpoint, which will ultimately lead to Notre Dame winning a national championship. A win over USC does not do that. And USC is going to be, from a conference standpoint, coming to the Big Ten, but that's not regional.
It's not regional, and you're right. I think this the step before the championship step is becoming the strongest power in your area, and we're getting in our own area out recruited by Michigan and Ohio State. Being that Chicago should be a prime recruiting location for us, but that's not going to come until you start winning the games, especially against the teams that's out recruiting you in the area.
Yeah. And as much as people in the comments after the show and leftovers kept through, it's okay. The biggest opportunity of the season for the program, they dropped the ball. There is no other opportunity as big as Saturday night.
No,
it's not. Someone said it, and the only thing that can come close is Notre Dame running the table, which they should. See, that's the issue. Saying Notre Dame should run the table, they should.
It was never about running the table. It was about winning this last week game. That's what.
In my opinion, Notre Dame is a more complete team than USC. They should beat USC at home.
We have a better trench. We have a better quarterback. Excuse me.
No. Relax.
Excuse me. We have the better offensive line. We have a better defensive unit. We have a better coached all-around team, in my opinion. I think special teams needs to still improve. But from a paper to paper, we should be winning that game. They're just super, super, super talented in spots.
Jerry Rice's son is nice, though. Hey, that cat Jerry Rice's son is nice. He's nice. I watched that game. I'm like, okay.
Everybody nice with a good quarterback.
This is who Benji is going to be. This is the matchup Benji's going to have to take him out. But I'm scared to death of Taj Washington in the slot against Harper. That matchup, I told you, after the Navy game, teams are targeting our nickel and slot.
They did that.
Navy targeted our nickel and slot. And kudos to at least one of the top 3 cornerback tandems. in college football. I don't know what else people want from Cam Hart. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe
I
pace.
don't.
That's about it.
People are like, I need to see more. All right, dude. Notre Dame has one of the top 3 cornerback tandems in all of college football. Yeah, they just do. But to wrap up this point so we can move to the next point, they should run the tape. Like, that's not, it's like you sit back and you're like, yeah, we should smack the rest of the schedule.
But
We should.
let's put down the narrative. This whole Big Day versus Duke. This is a basketball school, and I keep telling you guys, you don't even know the name of the football stadium, but you know the name of the basketball arena, Cameron Indoor. It's a reason why. You can't take a team that is catching fire over a team that's traditionally built to win. We are built to beat Ohio State. We didn't get it done, but if we're built to beat Ohio State, nothing is shocking us about playing a basketball school. That's like the reverse. If we were playing basketball and Notre Dame is going to Duke, nobody's going to think Notre Dame's going to beat Duke in basketball, even if we had a good team. So let's just keep the respect of what we're trying to talk about here. This is a team that has a good quarterback. They do some good things, but at the end, they don't have the depth to beat us when it matters. And not even Ohio State has the depth to stop our run game late in the game anyway. So if Ohio State can't stop our running game late in games, Duke won't either.
Yeah. So that's it. That's one of the leftovers from the comments after the show. Um, there's no part of the post game show that we say the rest of the season doesn't matter.
No, it matters. It's just the impact of what the season could have meant. The impact of what the perspective of what Marcus Freeman has brought to this program could have done. What it could have led to in the near future, not the far future, the near future. We were cooking, but we wasn't tested. The Marcus Freeman model of building a program wasn't tested. It was tested last week, and there was some huge things that were shown that we look at and go, oh man, we have to possibly reconsider. Oh, it's a bigger doubt factor included because everything that you've done would lead you to believe that we're supposed to beat Ohio State by a good 14. We left a lot of points on the field and missed the field goal on that. That should have been a 14-point victory, in my opinion.
So look, Lucky Lefty podcast. Somebody started this discussion, and hey, this is what we do on LL. See, we'll talk about stuff other people don't want to talk about. Jack Swarbrick deserves percentage of blame for that loss on Saturday night.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Let's keep it a buck. His cheap butt didn't give Marcus Freeman what he asked for. And an inexperienced OC went into that game, and we got what we got as far as production.
And we got inexperience when it came to the moments we needed.
Let me tell you something. You're not winning big games against good teams unless you can score points. I don't care how great your defense plays. There's no way with Sam Hartman at quarterback before that game. If you had told me that Notre Dame was going to hold Ohio State to 17 points, they held them to 21 in Columbus.
It got lower this next year.
Held them to 17 points.
And 17 at the end, like the 17, the last second of the game, we really held them to 11.
Left. I would have told you Notre Dame doubled them dudes up. Like, we went in 34-17. Oh, easily.
Averaging 47? Absolutely.
Jack Swarbrick, you're not escaping this. You're not escaping this, dude. You're not. The one thing we said as a podcast the day they hired Marcus Freeman was if you're not about to fully support him and give him everything he needs, don't hire him. Don't do it.
They have hard.
I feel this is my opinion. This is Shaun Davis's opinion, not Malik Zaire's opinion. I know without a shadow of a doubt Andy Ludwig would have coordinated more production and would have handled the end of the game totally different because of the experience of the big games that he has. See, it's a problem, Left, when you have the debacles that we had at the end of that game. And Coach Freeman has to come out and fall on his sword when the DC didn't notice what was going on the last two plays. The defensive line coach, who's responsible for the defensive line going in and out and knowing which unit's supposed to be on the field, they all failed. All of that experience of Al Golden and Al Washington, nobody recognized. I go a step further. Go watch post-game press conference. Of course, you know I love this Left. I started to cut it up, but then I knew people would say, man, why don't y'all like him? So I said, I'm not even going to cut up the video. J.D. Te'o comes to post-game. What's the number one important reason that this fan base went crazy when J.D. Te'o didn't play against Central Michigan? What was that main reason why we needed him back?
Leadership, communication, a bunch of intangibles.
He gets everybody lined up on defense.
Right, yeah.
He said he didn't even know they had 10 players. Wait a minute. You're the dude that gets everybody lined up and make sure that you're in the right alignment. You're the captain. That's what we were supposed to get with you coming back. And for 2 straight plays at the end of the game, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell there was a whole defensive lineman missing to your right for 2 straight plays. But you're the great one. That's so important because you get everybody lined up. You talk about a total meltdown of every facet and every part of a team at the most important juncture of a big game.
It just shows you that the moment got
That's
too big.
what we saw.
The moment got too big in certain players,
that's quite possible.
Teams. Marcus Freeman's young in the coaching space, in the head, J.D. Bertrand is who he is. I don't believe we have the player or players just yet to know how to win those positions. We have the player or players to compete in any game. But when have we had the player or players to know what to win in the moments we need to win? And that's just something that we'll gain from experience. But right now we don't have a guy like that or guys that have been through something like that. Even the guys that played at Cincinnati, we was supposed to win that game, had opportunities to win, but we didn't have the experience or that X factor or that guy or players that knew how to seal a victory. And that's something that is, I talk about with the high school team is that we got guys that play football and then we got football players. You'll get that in recruiting But you also have to coach that mentality of being not a guy that plays football, but a football player. And it's one thing to do a great job exoskeleton wise of hiring the
Absolutely.
athletes, of hiring the guy. But if you're going to label a guy as the communicator, he's got to be that in those moments, or it doesn't matter. Like the beating Ohio State, nothing would be better than losing that game. Nothing that we can do this season, in my opinion, like we talk about, will be greater than what we could have did last week and winning that game. That's where we are as a program because we're we've been winning 10 games for 10 years.
Yes.
And we have gotten less and less respect every year. We win 10 games, we win 8 games. These are good seasons. But that's we had created a winningest coach of all time doing that. Winningest
Hmm.
coach of all time was able to fly under the radar by never winning the championship and winning just enough to keep us in the conversation. That bar is actually pretty high.
Hmm.
It makes us as a fan base spoiled and think that anytime our offensive line isn't Hall of Fame looking, that is something wrong with them.
Offensive line played their butts off,
They
dog.
played their butts off. They played their butts off.
In the fourth quarter, Ohio State did not want anything to do with that Notre Dame offensive line, bro. They didn't want any smoke. And they knew that they were on the verge of folding. They were on the verge of folding.
But JD
And
Bertrand, you can't give up a 61-yard touchdown.
no,
That's just
that
that's
was
just the
just
that's the
that's
that's but that puts them in the game. Without that play, and without the last play of the game, that's 14 points they don't have. And now your defense has played excellent. But the fact that we applauded the fact that he came back, being that he was going to be the difference maker, and you gave up arguably the 3 plays that could have changed the game, along with your running mate DJ Brown.
yeah,
What we always say when I was on the team was change your life. DJ Brown, change your life. That's a change your life play, both of them. You make
and
that pick in
you
the
know,
end zone. You make that pick on second down and change the game. Change your life. They might have been talking about DJ Brown like Ben Morrison if he made those 2 picks.
true.
They might have been
And
like, oh, we got Ben Morrison and DJ Brown. You would have been in conversation with Mel Kiper the 2 days later. Off of just the 2 plays that could have changed your life. So that's why we always say at Notre Dame,
yeah,
change your life. You get in
yeah.
there, change your life.
I'm sorry, man. Somebody in the chat said JD Bertrand had a good game. No, he did not.
You gave up the
The
61-yard
Travion
touchdown.
Henderson touchdown is all
Was
his fault.
It's all his fault. All
All
his fault,
his fault.
literally. Like all his
It's
his
his
mistake.
it's his play.
It's his play. Yes, yes.
There is no way you can say he had a good game. None.
Because the game was too close for that. It was too close to be plays hidden within the game that could have mattered but didn't matter. The plays he messed up on mattered. Were the game defining plays, unfortunately.
Okay, he led the team in tackles. He made the biggest defensive mistake of the game. And then made mistakes on the last 2 plays. There's no way you can look at that and say, oh, he had a good game. No, no. That's like Michael Jordan back in the day when he used to take 40 shots to score 37 points and they lose to the Pistons.
That's like
It was like,
Michael Jordan
oh,
scoring
oh,
what
Mike had
61,
37. Like, dude.
scoring 61 against Larry Bird and having a career day, but they lost the game in the playoffs. They lost the series.
And it's not overstate like he did not have a good game, man. He just didn't. It's cool.
Objective.
He didn't. He didn't have a good game. And I didn't see anybody else, right, I didn't see anybody else say anything.
Ben Morrison had a good game. That's a good game.
Andrew Gilmore. We started the podcast off by saying you can't score 14 points in big games.
Can't.
Are people listening to the show? Are they
Georgia was one
listening?
of the best teams of all time, and they
That
scored
was the
46
first point
in the
we
championship.
made. That was the first point we made. Then we blamed Jack Swarbrick for not giving Marcus Freeman the offensive coordinator he wanted. We know exactly what needs to happen. But everybody that needs to catch a piece is going to catch a piece today. J.D. Bertrand needs to catch a piece. He caught a piece. Marcus Freeman called 2 hours from us on the post-game show. He came in yesterday. He fell on his sword. He fell on his sword, which we knew he would.
Unfortunately.
Like, what else do you need us to do? I personally said, if you had told me before the game that Notre Dame was going to hold Ohio State to 17 points, I'm like, oh, Notre Dame is winning that game by double digits, easy. We spent 10 minutes talking about the offense. Let it go. J.D. Bertrand deserves this smoke, and he's going to get it. This is not the coaches blew it. Don't talk about the players. Leave the players alone. Oh, the players blew it. Don't talk about the coaches. Oh, if DJ Brown picks off that pass, Marcus Freeman doesn't have to worry about that. Well, yeah. Marcus Freeman had terrible clock management along with his OC at 3 minutes in the game, and that was before DJ Brown. Everybody deserves the smoke. Everybody. We even got Jack Swarbrick into it. But that game on Saturday, everybody deserves the smoke. Everybody. I'll do you one even better. Is Sam Hartman really a top tier quarterback?
No, but we already knew that.
I'm just asking. Because it didn't seem like they had faith in him to let it ride.
I don't think that was Sam's choice, but I think it just it shows that the coaching staff knew that Sam wasn't the thing that was going to win the game in their opinion, because they never went to him in the moments that they needed to win the game. They went to the running game, the whole game. So if the coaching staff, it's just like USC. USC is running the offense through Caleb Williams. They're not going to go into a big game and then just decide with Caleb Williams, it's time to run the ball. They're like, that's not what the identity of the offense is. So I think a lot of it fits the narrative of when we were talking about earlier, Sam Hartman not being in the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 of quarterbacks because of this reason. Sam Hartman is a great compliment, a great piece, a great focal point when you talk about making the offense better, but he's not making the offense go. And that's where the running game has been apparent for us, and clearly to Jared Parker, the keys to victory. But unfortunately, like we both talked about, that was a game where we have to win to throw. In order to win this game, we got to throw the football. There's no way in the world, I keep saying this, that a guy like Sam Hartman with 12,000 passing yards gets beat out in a competition by a quarterback with 4 starts. Kyle McCord outplayed Sam Hartman in a game that's supposed to be Sam Hartman being the over-the-top factor as to why we win. Sam Hartman is the way we get past the 28-point marker, we get to the 40 points. Because when the run game, as it was slow churning, there was opportunities in the first half to go deep, and we didn't do it. And that's what we got Sam Hartman for. So either the coaching staff didn't believe that's the way we could break up the game and the monotonous of the game, because we was running in the 10-man boxes. It was so bad we was motioning receivers into the line of scrimmage to block. You only do that if you don't believe that the throwing aspect of your team can play a role in making it happen. Ohio State was balanced the whole game. I don't think they called a great game, but when it came down to it, they were balanced enough to get us from the air and from the ground. We just were sold on the fact because we were the better team, we could have, yes, we could have ran the ball all game because we're the better team. Duh, we're the better team, so we can do whatever we want.
Mhm.
But running the ball all game isn't what's going to win you the game necessarily. And it proved that even if we win, even if we run to the final minute and we go up, because we haven't thrown the ball, because we haven't shown that that is going to be the determining factor in getting points, we left it up to Ohio State to win the game. Because that's what happens when you run the ball the entire time. The points are going to be low. I can't believe that the coaches went into this last week and thought, hey, we're going to win this on a low scoring game. Impossible. That's not how you win games in 2023. You win games in 2023 by blowing teams out 63-7 in the national championship. That's how you win games in 2023.
Well, look, I'll say this: Marcus Freeman post game and yesterday said we did not play our best game. So I don't think they offensively as a staff came into the games thinking like, oh, we're gonna keep it around 14, 20 points and we should be good. I think they thought they could do more somehow, some way. And I see the comments about the wide receivers. See, this is what's comical, left. Because some of the people in the chat that's talking about the wide receivers, do you remember early in the season when I said Ohio State is going to be bump and run and force Sam Hartman to prove that he can beat them? Remember I said that? Remember everybody in the chat was like, oh, Sam Hartman's cold. If they do that, Sam Hartman's going to eat them up. Sam Hartman's the best deep passer in college football. Remember all of that? Oh, Shaun, you know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, all right. Remember, that's when everybody was like, oh, Tobias is going to blow right past them. Chris Tyree is going to take the top off of it. That did. Remember all that? And I'm like, who's proven in the? Remember, I asked the question, who's proven in the wide receiver corps?
That's right. Nobody.
Remember that?
Nobody's proven.
And I pointed out that Michigan actually had 3 receivers that had put up stats. And Notre Dame fans argued me down. Our receiving corps is better than Michigan's. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. But now everybody's in the chat like our wide receivers. Wait a minute. Y'all had faith 3 weeks ago when I said Ohio State was going to do this to Sam Hartman and these wide receivers. You all didn't have any, you guys didn't waver at all. But now after the game, it's not Sam Hartman, it's the receivers. What? Wait a minute, man.
I saw a true freshman, Rico Flores, scored a game touchdown to go up and made the dude fall. That's
I
the
thought
talent.
in the fourth quarter, Rico and Jaden Greathouse looked fantastic.
They had some of the biggest pass plays in the fourth quarter.
So I asked everybody else. The freshmen looked fantastic to me in the fourth quarter and clutch time.
Yeah, clutch. Not in
Where
the
were the veterans? Where were the veterans?
Deion Closey didn't have a catch.
Well, he's kind of been injured. He's been dealing with.
He didn't have a catch in the fourth quarter.
Jaden Thomas got injured too, but I'm just saying.
I'm saying the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter,
Freshmen
showed up. They looked fine to me. Rico Flores looked like he could get off bump and run coverage to me.
To me, against a team that is considered a top playoff team every year. I mean, they're in contention every year. So That's just the difference, man. I think we found out a lot about who we are as a team right now, and that's that if we have a team that's considered a team favorite over us, once again, we don't meet the expectation all the way.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the 2 yard line, literally, and give it up.
Facts. It is. That's the next step. The next step, there's two steps. The next step is the defensive line taking that next step,
Yeah,
and
dude,
the offense in big games actually putting
the
up points.
football, throwing
Yes,
the
because
football.
left, we knew Notre Dame could step on the field with Ohio State and compete. That
Not a
that's not,
question. That's not even a question.
dude. Last Thursday, I sat here and told Notre Dame fans, stop having all that anxiety. This is a god darn good football team.
We're
You
built right.
have you have a really good football team. You have a good. They would have been great if they had won on Saturday. But you have a really good football team this year. Really good. Know that. Like you can, yes, look at the rest of the schedule and feel confident, like, oh, we should smack everybody on the rest of
Yeah,
this schedule.
no facts.
Everybody. And Saturday didn't do anything to disprove that. Nothing. I didn't see anything Saturday. As disappointing as Saturday was, I didn't see anything that made me feel like, oh, woe is me. We're upset because we know the opportunity that was missed.
With what we had already,
Yes.
not with what we missed or what we needed. What we had, we didn't use.
Mm-hmm.
We had an opportunity to show Ohio State something they couldn't defend, and we defended ourselves by not calling it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me you just come out in the second half and everything you throw in works, but then you couldn't do it in the first half when they was playing even tighter. Don't make no sense. That's us saying that we locking ourselves up. We giving them way too much credit. Ohio State defense. We gave them way too much credit. We like, oh, but consequently, you know what's so crazy? Jared Parker was there when we played this same defensive coordinator with Oklahoma State and threw for 500 yards. Jared Parker was in the game plan when we played the same defensive structure against the same defensive coordinator when
Mm-hmm.
Jack Cohn, a lesser talent than Sam Hartman, threw for 500 yards and threw the
Yeah.
ball 40 plus times. Marcus Freeman was there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marcus Freeman was the head coach at the same first game of his head coaching career where we said it was an anomaly. But we actually had the right. Tommy actually, that was probably my only game I liked the Tommies.
Well, you rocked
That,
with Tommy and what he was doing.
that was the only time I've ever rocked with Tommy was when he was like, I'm going to be the aggressor in a big game. And we
Mm.
threw for 500 yards and should have won. And Jared Parker was in the same building. So Jared Parker, the whole week you didn't think against his same defensive coordinator, against his same structure. We had a ton of success throwing the football with lesser talent at receiver, with a lesser quarterback. Well, I can't even say lesser. Jack Cohn threw for 500 yards. He should have been the game MVP even though we lost. The man was balling on 45 attempts. And we
Mm-hmm.
do the complete opposite. See, that's what I don't understand. It had to be because of the name alone.
Yeah.
We had a lesser coach, because I don't think Ryan Day is a good coach. And for us to, man, Ohio State had to do everything they can to win that game. We didn't. That's the difference. We missing field goals. We calling plays to handcuff ourselves to prove a point of what? You gave them too much time, and in the clutch time when we needed to run the clock out, you
Mhm.
panicked. You panicked on every scale. You panicked when we had to get the 2 first downs. Shaun, we were sitting right there and said we need 2 first downs. Game over.
Dude, it was simple. This is
Two
my
first.
issue. This is that man. Look, don't get me fired up again. That was my biggest issue. And like people like apologizing and like it's okay. Dude, like I said on the post game show, Marcus Freeman's gonna have to wear this one. He said, hey, you gotta wear this one, bro. There is no, this is coaching 101. I've never coached. I'm standing there at the game. And I'm like, dude, 2 first downs,
It's over.
it's over. Because you're gonna force them to use their timeouts.
And they're giving you the run up the middle. Like they
And you
have
get
nothing.
11 yards on first down from Aldrich Estime, and you immediately take him out. Now, what kudos to the Notre Dame coaching staff because they knew how aggressive and downhill Eichenberg and Chambers played. So their genius in response to that was the 2 running back thing and allowing that lead running back to be the lead blocker because they knew the linebacker was coming. They weren't even paying attention to play action. They were coming straight downhill.
And that's where
So and Jeremiah Love was hitting that play all night. I'm talking about hitting it at the right seam, at the right speed. I think he averaged 7 yards. So they knew exactly how to wear down and attack Ohio State and make hay in the running game. So kudos to Jared Parker, Dealer McCullough, the entire staff, Coach Joe, Rudolph, because they did a great job. They did a great job. That was not the time. I understand you built up the whole game plan to have Estime fresh. Ride him. That's when you ride him. That's the final drive. They're not getting the ball back. I saw LSU do the same. By the way, LSU Arkansas was a fantastic game.
Good game.
Your boy Malik, your boy KJ, he balled out that game. He played his tail off. LSU gets the ball back, and they know they can't stop Arkansas. They get the ball back with like 6 minutes left. Arkansas doesn't touch the ball.
Brian Kelly went to his ride the horse. That's the one thing Brian Kelly would do. He'll ride the hell out of the hot guy. He'll ride the hell out of a Josh Adams, CJ.
When I tell you, they either threw the ball to Neighbors or gave the ball to Logan Diggs. It was almost like they said these are the only 2 offensive players that are allowed to touch the ball on this drive.
Stop us. Try to stop us.
That was Marcus Freeman's initial mistake. He's not the play caller. But hey, man, you get the ball back, he's supposed to tell the offensive coordinator, yo, give me 2 to 3 first downs here. Let's run the ball. Let's ride Aldrich. Because he's sitting there watching what we're watching. He's watching the offensive line dominate the Ohio State defensive line. He can see it. That's when you go for the juggler. You start trying to call green passes and all that stuff, man. You run a play where you try to pull the right guard out to take JT on, and JT just beats the block, and that puts you behind the stick. Then you throw the screen pass, and from there, everything just went downhill. And you should have just stayed with the heavy package, Aldrich up the middle. There was nothing Ohio State could do. They physically just weren't able.
Wasn't able.
and you gave them an opportunity. And kudos to JT for making the play. Big time
Yeah.
players make big time plays. He made a play that Ohio State needed at that point in time. Two back-to-back plays because he almost picked off the screen pass. So look, man, that's why Jack Sawyer and the Ohio State defensive linemen were copping pleas in the locker room after the game, like, hey, yo, that's the best offensive line we've ever played, yo.
Well, I mean, yeah, they don't play tough competition like that.
And it is what it is, man.
I don't have a problem with the screen call. I just don't think it should have been on third down. That's all.
No, it's actually on second down.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's my
That's
point.
even, that's even worse. If you're gonna run a screen in that situation, run it early. I'm talking about out the gate, run it, because you run it on second down, and then with the fact that it got you super tight in the butthole because you almost got it picked. That means your third down call is gonna be super ultra predictable. If anything, I'm first down play action throwing it deep.
But see, this is the
What
thing.
do you mean? I'm throwing it deep first play. If I'm coming out trying to seal the game against a team that is panicking,
But
they're
they
panicking.
left. You can't if this is Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman said, we got a quarterback.
Yeah.
We trust our quarterback. That's why we went to the screen. Wait a minute.
No, no, no,
If
no.
you trust your quarterback,
Yeah, that's the wrong answer, Marcus
what you
Freeman.
going what you going to the screen pass for?
No, no, no.
And
That's the wrong.
I believe you trust your quarterback because starting on that drive, you were backed up,
Yeah, you backed up, and we threw
and you
two great
went
passes
forward and you spread them out and found Jaden Greathouse,
wide open.
right? Because they protected Sam Hartman all night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we could do it. That's what I'm saying.
Pass
We're the better
pro,
team.
pass
We
pro
were
was
the better
great.
team. We could do whatever we wanted on offense and chose to handcuff ourselves and make us one dimensional. There was
Yes.
no reason Sam Hartman didn't have 330 passing yards. Why is Sam Hartman getting running for 4th and 1, going quarterback sneak for 4th and 1? How? We should have been spraying them all over the place. Because whenever we needed it and we did it, it was
Right.
explosive plays. So it
Right.
tells me that we could have did it all game. Ain't no way you just turn it on. You can't just turn it on and get an explosive play because you have it. It was predictable moments. We're in
And look,
empty, backed up. What else we gonna run?
that's the
Predictable pass
Chicago
plays.
that's the Chicago Bears move, man. The Chicago Bears call screen plays three times in a row. Like,
Oh my
hey,
God.
bro, Rico and Jaden were cooking in the fourth quarter.
Again. Why did you go away from it? Why did you
They
go
were
to
cooking.
the first half?
Spread them out and make it do what it do.
And the fact that Ohio State did that strategy with a guy that started 4 games just shows where the perspective of who was trying to win and who wasn't. If Sam Hartman, as great as he is through what he's been able to do, why are you not aggressive like how they were overly aggressive with Kyle McCord? They basically said, Kyle McCord, you got to win the game. A 4-game starter at Ohio State. They said, you got to go win this for us. That's the expectation they put on their quarterbacks over there. That's the expectation. They didn't say, Kyle McCord, we're going to do this with the run game. We're going to try to protect you, throw a bunch of screens, throw a bunch of quicks to. No. They said, Kyle McCord, you going into Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend as a 4-game starter, and you going to go win us this game. Period. We didn't have that expectation with Sam. Sam, we got the better team. And they told Sam, listen, we're going to run the hell out of it, and when we call them passes, you make it happen. We're going to call you when we need to. And this just shows that I don't think Sam is a tier 1. Because in that game, damn it, if I'm the quarterback, give me the rock, coach. I'm buzzing. I'm calling up to the press box. Hey, Jared Parker, I see something. I could be
If
lying.
and
I could
that's
be lying. I
if
see something. Well,
yeah.
hell, he should have saw it. The safety, I would have been Jared Parker. The safeties are playing where the linebackers are. They look like they got
Mhm.
5 linebackers in the box. Give me a play to throw
Yeah.
that thing down the field. That would have been a phone call.
Yeah.
That's a tier 1 phone. Caleb, you think Caleb Williams? If we had Caleb Williams, do you think we would have ran this strategy? That's a plain question. So if the answer is easy, no, we wouldn't have been running the ball like that if we had Caleb Williams. What are they saying about Sam Hartman? Period. Because a capable thrower, a Riley Leonard on a Notre Dame team. I doubt we run the ball that much. I just doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
So there's no way in a big game like this you value the run over the pass. It's just you don't even. That shouldn't even be a thought. That who thinks like that? Dabo Sweeney. Hell, Alabama don't even think like that. They trying to throw the rock with Jalen Milroe. That's why they barely can win now. That just ain't his strength.
Hey, man, let me tell you something, bro. And that's fine if people in the chat like put me on the petty train for nitpicking right now, because I could be nitpicking. Last night was the first time I rewatched the game. And I didn't rewatch the entire game. I really watched the fourth quarter. But I did watch like the beginning of the game. I need a little more effort from Sam Hartman on the play where they ended up reversing the call on that fourth down. I don't need you slowing up. Well, I know I need you
run the man over,
going after that first down like John Elway went after that first down when he got helicoptered in the Super Bowl. This is Ohio State, bro. I need you to put your head down. I need you to stretch the ball out and be aware of the fact that if I get the ball across, you understand?
That's not how he's built. That's not how he's built.
And maybe I'm nitpicking, but I'm like, yo, I need you to understand the magnitude.
You're explaining a tier 4 from a tier 1.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You requiring something that's not the man's capabilities.
Left, maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe I'm nitpicking.
It's the truth.
The quarterback sneak, I'm not going to blame on him because that was just a bad call.
Bad call.
That's just a bad offensive call.
Bad call.
Look, man, you one-on-one with this dude and you basically just ran out of bounds and let him push you. No, bro. It's Notre Dame, Ohio State.
He's a tier 4. He's a tier 4 for a reason.
Man.
You're not a tier 1. There's no question what a tier 1 going to do. Drake May is getting that first down. Drake may be running that ball hard. Trevor Lawrence became a running back when he needed to against Notre Dame.
Well, see, first of all, you're talking about quarterbacks that are just more athletic and faster. So they probably
faster. We talking about 3rd and 1.
Hey, man.
We talking about that's a wheel. That's a heart mindset type of play.
You're right. And Trevor Lawrence, we've seen Deshaun.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Deshaun got helicoptered in the championship.
Died against Ohio State in the semifinals. Literally just, man.
The matter of fact, he got rocked the play before he ran that long touchdown. So the play, Chase Young rocked him. Boom. He get up next play, run a 60-something yard touchdown. That's tier 1. What did he do against Notre Dame? When the game was close, Trevor Lawrence said, this game too close for me. I'm going to start running that ball. I'm going to start running that ball. Get off me.
See, Brian Hatton, I'm sorry to disagree with you, man. No, this is what Malik is talking about. Big game, no quarterback is out there in a moment like that thinking about, I don't need to get hurt.
No, you're not thinking that.
You're like, man, I need to get this first down.
It's Ohio State. This ain't
absolutely
Duke.
That's not even how an athlete is built.
No,
I don't need to get hurt. No, you don't play like that.
The only time I've ever seen that was Cam Newton not getting that.
All I said is you need to stretch the ball out and be aware that you need to find a way to get this first down.
That's it. Juke him. We ain't say run him over.
You
something.
You kind of did say run them over at the beginning.
I mean, yeah, and if that's
But
all you got, if that's all
I
you got,
my
get the
point is I need more effort than he gave. He gave minimum effort in a fourth down situation. Minimum. I agree, Elizabeth. At least drop the shoulder.
at
He didn't
least
even drop the shoulder.
he ran straight. He let the dude push him behind the line. Like,
Absolutely.
what is that? At least try to stop and hesitate or fall forward. Like something. Good grief, Ian Book. That's a good point against Clemson. What did Ian Book do on that run on 3rd and long? He
Oh,
got that
absolutely.
down.
Get the first
He
down.
got that first down. He ran for that first down, and
The
man,
semifinals last year against Ohio State. Fourth down. What did your boy do? He catches a ball out in the flat. Two Ohio State defenders meet him in the flat. Stop him short. This man puts his hand on the ground, does not allow his knees to touch the ground, and reaches the ball past the first down mark.
that's effort.
Oh, he's aware, like, yo, I need to get this first down.
I love to see when players. That's football instincts. That's a guy that's locked into the game, not just a guy running the play. Guys that run the play, just catch and get tackled.
Absolutely.
And you look on TV, and you be like, dude, did you not know the down and distance?
Mm-hmm.
Did you not know that this is the game on the line? And it's just like Sam was just on cruise control the whole time. Part of it wasn't his fault, but part of it, when you were supposed to be the guy that we brought here for this, and your understanding that this is your role to be in a threat in the game. If you're a threat in the game, you get in the first down, no question, because you're the threat. You wasn't posing a threat, breaking the pocket. Just even on the quarterback sneak, we're not gonna blame you because of the call, but I'm blaming you because of the effort. Because at the end of the day, bad call or not, it's 4th and 1, and that's your second one. So the first one, okay, boom, they got me. The second time for a 4th and 1, I'm getting it. I don't care if it's a bad call. I got to make it happen. But that's the mindset you need as a tier 1 guy. And Sam was just on too cruise control, where you can't say he played bad. Can't say he played bad, but did he play well enough to win? I don't know.
And so you can explain it better than anybody. The mind of an athlete is not, it's the first quarter, I can't get hurt. The mind of an athlete is not, oh man, I'm going to turn it up in the fourth quarter. Every play counts. That's what you're told. That's what you're coached. Every play counts. So y'all can sit here and excuse the effort. That was minimum effort. And I don't want to hear Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams runs around the field, and you know Lincoln Riley doesn't want him to get hurt.
4th and 1, Caleb Williams took the ball from his own running back and said, we get this. 4th and 1 against Kansas. They hand the ball off to the running back. He's about to get tackled for a loss. Caleb takes the ball from his own guy to get the first down. That's tier 1 play. And I think a lot of it goes back to Sam Hartman.
Man, I'm sorry, sir. Michael Campbell, I respect you. But saying you got a quarterback to pass is the dumbest thing in the world. Everybody on the field is a football player. John Elway was a football player. Caleb Williams is a football player. They do whatever's necessary to help their team win games.
That's it.
I don't want to hear that crap. We got him to pass the ball. No, we got him to win games.
We got him to win games, but
win games
was the specialty he was bringing.
Win games.
I'd say that the skill in which he got to Notre Dame was because he could pass the ball, but to win games is what you're signing up for.
Win games.
You signing up to win games because you can add the passing to it. So in a way, okay, I get it. But at the end of the day, a 4th and 1, you're not passing the ball, period. You're not
Joe
passing the ball.
Montana is a legend. Joe Montana won games with his legs.
Tom Brady is known for having the best play in football, and that's the quarterback sneak that he
This
made.
cat, Joe Montana has a Cotton Bowl library of highlights. This dude eating chicken noodle soup in a locker room with a temperature. Diving for first downs in the fourth quarter against Houston. But you want to talk about the quarterback's supposed to pass the ball. No. Winning quarterbacks do whatever's necessary.
Yeah, 4th and
to
1.
win football games. Period.
4th and 1, you just got to get it, bro.
Period.
Get it.
And do whatever. And nobody stop, man. Stop being soft, man. Stop being soft. It's okay to say something to critique somebody. Y'all don't have to protect these players, man. Like they fragile and they're gonna break. Like Sam Hartman hasn't made not one mistake this year. Like we can't say anything about Sam Hartman. He made mistakes on Saturday night. 3rd down throw to Jay Thomas. It was a bad pass. He made mistakes.
But the mistakes too.
We can't talk about Sam Hartman. Man, please. He didn't. He gave minimum effort on a clutch 4th down. Period.
And we said that when we was watching. He's like, "Oh, you could have gave better than that." As a side comment, watching the play live time, it was like, "Oh, you could have. Come on, you made it too close. You made it to you gave the ref something to look at. Come on, man. You got to finish that play stronger. And that just comes from either you being locked into the game or not. You on cruise control. That's no different than you forgetting this 4th down type deal.
This is the crazy thing. On the same play, he gave maximum effort to get away from the pass rush. He gave maximum effort to get away from the pass rush and then gets to the sideline.
So,
well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. And it's okay to critique certain things. We didn't blame, that's not the game. But that was a very important play in the first half. Very important play. Lucky Lefty podcast. We're on the Duke, Left. We come back. We hope Notre Dame fans aren't worried about their squad. But we'll look at both sides of the coin. Maybe you should be worried. And then maybe you shouldn't. It's the Lucky Lefty podcast. We're done with Ohio State. On to the rest of the schedule. Lucky Lefty podcast, Onora boys in the building. CFB Nation presented by Twisted Tea. You dig?
That's right.
Left, one of the greatest debates we had leading up to the season was where this Duke game sat on the schedule. And how the Ohio State game had a chance of being extremely emotional for this Notre Dame football team. And here we are. It's played out exactly as I kind of anticipated. I've heard Marcus Freeman say, Marcus Freeman didn't sound, he said his guys were still dealing with it yesterday. And it was just heart-wrenching. But then I watched Wake Up the Echoes, and Joe Alt is on there talking about, 24 hours, we're done with it. It's time for us to be a great team because great teams go out and take care of business. Okay, that's what I want to hear. But that's literally on the same day. I'm hearing the head coach say, "Man, the guys are still heartbroken and dealing with it." And then I'm hearing the captain say, "Man, we're done with that. We're ready to go kick some butt this weekend."
Yeah, I mean, I think Marcus Freeman knows what it means to the season. I think he knows what it means on a personal level, an individual level, a coaching level, thinking about the future level. And then you got a guy like Joe Alt, who, you know, first round guy that's pretty much locked into what he's doing. Is just it's good to have the players speak like that. But Marcus Freeman is only speaking candidly because it's true, and he knows that this opportunity is going to reverberate through the rest of the season. Which yeah, you move on, but it's definitely not something you get over. So Joe Alt being able to speak candidly and be honest about the cliche 48-hour rule, yeah, but that's good that he knows that. But he's the first rounder. But does the quarterback know that? Does DJ Brown know that? Does the defense know that? So I think does Al Gold know that? Hell, so I do think that it's another opportunity, obviously, for us to be on the primetime stage and figure out ways to win. But it's a different perspective when you're the team that's supposed to win.
It is amazing to me that I'm not worried about somebody in the chat made a good point earlier. They said, "I hope this isn't 2014 over again." Similar loss, similar emotional loss at Florida State, right? You thought you had the game won, and then the season just kind of unravels. That season was more about injuries that
Oh,
really started. Injuries really started
injuries
the
that year
down.
after
Yeah,
were bigger impacts. We got pretty much a healthy team.
yeah. No. Now, what's challenging going into this game? Jaden Thomas is out. Deion Cozy is out. But once again, Jaden Thomas was out in the fourth quarter when your freshman got loose. Chris Tyree is still playing. Tobias is still playing. You still have your tight ends. Notre Dame has more than enough to be able to do what they need to do against Duke through the air, in my opinion. I wouldn't worry about that.
Duke is just a team we get back on track with. You're on mute.
Mentally, for you, you were in that 2014 locker room. Mentally, for you, what's the biggest thing?
Well, fortunately, we're at Notre Dame, so we're playing big games every week. So there's just another team to play on the schedule that they're going to obviously, we're accustomed to teams playing better than what they show on tape week in and week out. So to lose a big game, one, isn't nothing new for us because we've been losing big games for a while. So to us, which is another issue that I feel like we have, is we look at all these games the same and that we treat it the same. So even though we lost, it was no different than if we won. We're just going into the next week against a team that we know is going to play beyond their talent level, and we just got to match their energy. This is where we get into the monotonous playing Toledo's and Purdue's all the way to the end when we're the better team in the beginning. So that's the mental aspect that adds to it. But from a talent perspective, there's nothing that I would worry about because we're the better team. And when you're the better team, the cream always rises to the top, and our running game in depth is going to make the difference in the game, and there's nothing Duke can do about it. So I think that if we don't call the game like we did against Ohio State, which I don't think we will, we'll be back to our 47-point average.
Duke has, in my opinion, I like Riley Leonard. I think he's a very well coached quarterback, and I think he's more athletic than people realize. I like the young man. Do I fear Riley Leonard? No, no. Schematically, Duke is going to try and take advantage of Notre Dame in the middle of the field, like everybody else does. Hopefully, our linebackers won't allow big plays in the running game. And you'll hold Duke to 20 points or less. And if you do that, it should be a pretty convincing victory. Tackling, in my opinion, because Duke has some really, how can I describe their running backs? They're slippery. They're just really slippery. So tackling is going to be at a premium this weekend. Notre Dame is just going to have to come out and play sound football. That's it. Nothing special. Just come out and play sound football. That's it. Well, I don't know about firing people, but it will be more about the coaches and the leadership. I mean, it will tell me more about the leadership on this team than anything. Like, this is a leadership game. This game right here is a leadership game. This is a leadership game. The leaders within the locker room have to reverse the emotional residence of this team and have Notre Dame ready to play. Notre Dame needs to start out fast in this game. They need to start out fast. And
Yeah, Notre Dame definitely has to start off fast. I think it just start off fast, just like we did against Navy. I think that'll help the team bounce back into what we really could be a part of, which is something that we can show on a mental level that we may have lost in a devastating way, but it doesn't affect that we're still a really good team. And that's going to be shown by a key to the game definitely being we need to score on the first drive.
Left, we've been saying they need to score on the first drive every week. Heck, they need to score on the first drive against Ohio State. They score on that first drive, it changes the complexion of that game, in my opinion. You force Kyle McCord to play from behind, get the crowd into it. Not some you say he was behind on the last drive. That's true. That's true. And he had a chance to end it with the pick. It's just, man, it's one of those things. But I'm going to take my cue from Joe Alt and not Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, you should take the player's view first.
I think Marcus Freeman feels really awful.
Yeah, he got some personal stake in this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, just flat out. And from what I saw yesterday, that man feels awful. He feels awful. And his track record shows after difficult losses that his teams are ready to play. So I lean towards that. And like I said, I loved what I heard from Joe Alt. Absolutely love what I heard from him. It was like he was ready to go play yesterday. Like, yo, let's go. It's time to go kick some butt. And that's what you want to hear from the leaders on this team. That was great to hear. So at some point, the game might be close left, but I fully expect Notre Dame to win this game by double digits.
Yeah, I thoroughly believe this will be a 35-14 type of victory. They'll probably score early on because they're hyped, and then they'll realize that they've ran into a what do you say a chainsaw, and realize that they don't have the depth to compete when it matters.
And actually, I just need Notre Dame to come out all business. That's it. I need
Yeah,
them to
because
come out
Duke's not
all
a
business.
gimmicky type of team. This is a team that they rely on their quarterback, and unfortunately, the quarterback is the only person that's a threat to what we can do on offense and do on defense. So Al Gold knows what to do with good quarterbacks, and I feel like the strategy will be to continue to make him uncomfortable and put us in good position to win.
All right, before we get out of here, Left, any overall thoughts about the weekend in college football?
That I have no idea who's going to be in the college football playoffs. It's just too volatile right now. But conference play is coming up, and the good will end up being who it should be.
Notre Dame should run the table, and they'll be in the conversation at the end of the day, but they have to expect or hope for other teams to lose. I think it's going to be difficult because I think a two-loss Pac-12 champion gets into the playoffs because the competition is really good in the Pac-12. So if you have a two-loss Pac-12 champion, that's a very respected champion. Then you have the SEC champion. Then you have to think about the Big Ten champion. Then you have to think about, I'm sorry, Doma Wop, Iowa just lost this weekend. They lost to Penn State, if I'm not mistaken. Unless you're saying they're going to win out and win a Big Ten championship. Um, and yeah, you have what Texas. Texas is, man, I just don't trust Texas. Oh man. I love the way they responded to that Wyoming game against Baylor. They responded well. So Texas, if they can hold the water, they have Oklahoma coming up. Uh, it's Florida State. Yes, Notre Dame needs help, man. Because Florida State can actually lose a game and still win the ACC.
Yeah, Florida State's the top dog right now over
Yeah,
there.
it's about 5 or 6 teams, maybe even 7, to yeah, yeah. I was impressed. Let me tell you something. That Florida State win might have been the most impressive win over the weekend. First of all, Jordan Travis was probably at about 75% with that injured right shoulder. Go watch this. Second quarter, Jordan Travis. See, this goes back to what the Sam Hartman conversation we had. Second quarter is like fourth down. Jordan Travis runs the ball and there's two Clemson defenders in front of him. It's early in the game. Jordan Travis lowers his shoulder to pick up the fourth down. I'm pretty sure Jordan Travis could have said, "Man, I don't want to get injured.
Right.
My team needs me."
Yeah.
No, he said, "We need this first down." And in big games like that, I'm sorry, man, you need effort from everybody. From everybody. I don't think USC is going to beat Colorado as bad as Oregon did. I still pick USC to win the game, but USC is not as good as Oregon in the trenches.
That's right.
You know what else I learned this weekend? Cam Ward and Washington State might be real, Left.
You can't give Washington State too much credit because they haven't played the gauntlet yet. So even with Washington State being good against, the non-conference, Washington State has a lot of potential until they play a team that's supposed to win.
Now you remember Washington State went to USC last year, and Cam Ward went blow for blow with Caleb Williams until early or late in that third quarter when he twisted his ankle. So you might be right, but they beat Wisconsin and they beat Oregon State this weekend. Now the defense, which is pretty much every team, probably except for Utah. Yeah, man.
The Pac-12 is the best it'll probably ever be,
From what I've seen, Washington is the best team in the Pac-12.
You got Washington winning the Pac-12?
They've looked better than Oregon does. Fam, I watched Washington walk into Oregon last year and physically beat them up. Oregon is still a soft team when it comes to having to face other physical teams.
Yeah, that's why they always get embarrassed in the championship when they play a SEC team.
Absolutely. So the stuff that Michael Penix and his wide receivers are doing early on, bro. And Utah has a big game coming up, but Utah can't score points because of their quarterback. If Cam Rising comes back soon, Utah will be in it. If Nate Johnson continues to be the quarterback,
Utah's going to limit themselves, for sure.
And Jay Henry, I disagree. Washington has one of the best offensive lines. Washington's running, if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, Washington's rushing attack is not an issue. They have two really good running backs. They just don't have to run the ball. Like they run the ball when they feel like it. It's really crazy. Right? People kind of said the same thing last year, and then they went up and ran the ball for like 170 yards against Oregon, at Oregon. And I'm telling you, they can run the ball. Just because they haven't done it doesn't mean they can't do it. They can run the ball. Their offensive line is probably the best offensive line in the Pac-12. Literally.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I was watching the game Saturday. I'm like, dude, they were showing all of the pro prospects. I'm like, all right, if this coaching staff of Washington doesn't win at least 11 games, then they might have the best freshman wide receiver in the Pac-12. Their defense is not a typical Pac-12 defense. Very physical. Very physical. So it's gonna be interesting, man. Notre Dame if they had just taken care of business, man. If they had just taken care of business, they would have been, man, if they had just taken care of business. Yeah, Jay Henry, they played at UCLA without 3 starting offensive linemen. Keep it in context. I watched that game. They had 3 offensive linemen out, and they couldn't run the ball. Once again, they can run the ball. They have the best offensive line in the Pac-12. Context. Don't just say they ran the ball. But remember, go look at the amount of injuries they had going into that game. That's why they couldn't run the ball. It wasn't like UCLA just shut them down. If they are healthy and their offensive line is intact, they're going to run the ball on anybody in the Pac-12. Period. I remember that game. They had a bunch of penalties that game too, because Michael Penix was still lighting them up, and they were getting false starts, holdings, erasing touchdowns. It was crazy. Man, it was crazy. And until somebody beats Georgia, hey, they just are who they are. And honestly, watching LSU go blow for blow with Arkansas, Alabama doesn't scare anyone. It is what it is, man. Utah's defense is one of the best in the country. Their back end is still a little suspect. If their front seven is ridiculous, boy. Their pass rush, their defensive line is so deep. Little Ellis, Luther Ellis's son, he's relentless off the edge. Relentless. And then they always just have these big Samoans in the middle of the defensive line. But if you can protect the quarterback, you can make some hay. That secondary is still just a little bit. Yeah. Andy Ludwig is winning games and running offense with. Yeah. You guys like the green uniforms? I think they look better. They look much better on TV than they did when they presented them. When they first presented them, I was like, and then when they popped on TV, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, those are dope. Yeah, I thought they were dope though. I thought they were dope uniforms. Any other lasting impressions? I'm glad to see my Illini get back winning roll. Well, not a roll, but hopefully they can win another game this weekend and make it 2 in a row. The Big Ten West is wide open. Um, You know something that stood with me? Mike Green, that's Ohio State. Both teams left. I mean, Notre Dame got stopped on fourth down in Ohio State territory twice and missed a field goal. So both teams left points on the board, in my opinion. Both teams. I thought it was a disappointing game when it comes to play calling on both sides of the coin. I thought Ryan Day was disappointing. His offensive approach and play calling was suspect. Not a bottle of Crown Apple. That's funny. Colorado is Colorado brings the non-traditional college football fan to the game. So people watch Colorado for prime that aren't even college football fans. You know, Notre Dame is Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame has four straight primetime games. You know why? The networks like them. Hey, game day is at Duke. Why? Notre Dame's the opponent. I mean, that's a good question, V Dub. I really do believe, yes, yes, the big defensive tackles at Utah would give Notre Dame more issues than Ohio State's defensive line because Ohio State's defensive line is about getting up the field and penetration. So the Utah defensive line, that their defensive tackles are more two gap, to whereas they anchor those big legs, those tree trunks, and that big butt, and they just hold your guards. And so they would affect the Notre Dame run game better, in my opinion, because of the style of play. But Notre Dame can still find a way to run the ball. I don't think their ends are better than Ohio State's ends against the run, though. All right, guys, man. Appreciate you guys. It's been a great show. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll look at Riley Leonard and this Duke offense and how Al Golden should look to stop it. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Make sure you spend it different.